And the priests keepers of the paths leading through the stargates asked Perun the Thunderer, "Tell us, our wise teacher, what is happening in Asvarg the Great, and why many gates have closed in Amakash and Radu. And the crystals of movement do not shine, and the circle of Zarbin has dimmed in the quarter. The heavenly needles have lost their color, and now we hear no response to the manifold call from many Vaitmar." Perun the All-Wise answered them, "Know this, keepers of the gates of the Between Worlds, in Svarog the Great, Asa is being accomplished. In Makosha, Radha, Svati, and Rasa, a great battle is taking place. In this epic tale, the radiant and powerful gods entered into a truly fierce and intense battle with foreign warriors. They protect the great Svarog and cleanse the world, hall by hall, from the warriors of darkness from the dark world. From those wicked enemies who turned the flourishing lands to dust, who shed the blood of innocent beings, sparing neither the young nor the old. Therefore, many gates were closed to prevent foreign enemies from entering the bright lands of the great Asvarg, and to spare them the fate of Troara. That illuminated the worlds with radiant, wise, and love. Now Troara is barren and lifeless. The endless circle is torn apart. Mountains have collapsed into many needles, and the ashes of the fires lie in 7 burnings. I saw a similar image, sad and gloomy, in Arkolna, in the land of Ruta, which once shone brightly in Amakoshi. The gates of the Between Worlds are molten stone. The heavenly needles are roadside dust. Everywhere are the ruins of great shrines, and the cities are destroyed by the strong flames that rose from Ruta to the sky. There is no more life in that sunless land. There are no plants, no birds, no animals. Only the wind carries ash through the valleys and buries the gorge between the mountains. Gloomy and quiet in that world of ruins, where once life dwelled everywhere. Faj the Destroyer evaporated the rivers, the sea, and the sky filled with black clouds. Through the impenetrable stench, a ray of light does not pass, and life will never return to that world. This happened to many lands where enemies from the dark world had been. They were attracted by the wealth and resources that those beautiful lands possessed. By ingratiating themselves and gaining the trust of the inhabitants, they turned people against each other. Thus, wars were born in those worlds. After the wars ended, the remaining survivors were irradiated by the scar, and people lost their consciousness and will, and by the order of foreign enemies, they extracted wealth and resources. When there were no more riches left in those lands, and the resources were exhausted to the limit, then all the people were destroyed by the enemies, and everything that had been extracted from the lands was taken away. And from the lands where the foreigners were expelled, they sent the fascist destroyer to restore the circle from Zarbina. The spiral shines again between the worlds. You extract the crystals of movement in the part that dims with the beam in the quarter. Instead of the crystals of movement of the Swarogs, which are at the edges for the halls of Svarog, install the crystals of Yngli. The light of the other world, manifested in Navi, will shine in the crystals of Yngli, and, flowing with a powerful stream, it will restore the Zarbina glow. Only on the circle from Zarbina will the spiral manifest before you with an even glow. Change the crystals as it was, for the other world will be revealed to you. Know that the light of the other world is destructive. It absorbs the radiance of souls, and the mind will dim in the rays of the otherworldly, unable to understand what is happening to the soul. And the life of the unreasonable, soulless beings does not move in Swarog, but descends into hell, and there they wither in the unending darkness, not knowing themselves, nor what has happened. So be careful in your deeds and do not tempt fate in vain. The curiosity of many people has led to their ruin, those who tried to comprehend the other world. The rays of the other world are harmful to health, and people are unable to understand their nature. There, life flows according to alien laws, a bloody dawn rises over the lands, and strange entities like the Palkans tried to destroy the white Maras forever. You have lived peacefully in Midgard, since ancient times, when the world was established, remembering the deeds of the rain god, how he destroyed the strongholds of Kashchei, which were on the nearest moon. Tar did not allow the treacherous Kashchei to destroy Midgard, as they destroyed Dea. These Kashchai, rulers of the Grey, perished along with the moon in the half-entity. But Midgard ultimately paid for freedom with Daria, hidden by the great flood. The waters of the moon created that flood. They fell to the earth from the heavens as a rainbow. For the moon shattered into pieces and descended to Midgard with an army of sorcerers. The ancient threads that stretched to distant halls were destroyed. And in the between worlds, part of the connections was severed. The call of the manifold was not heard. Indeed, many wights were lost in Asvarg before new threads were born, and their call was heard from the halls. Many people perished at that time, who did not manage to rise on the wights or pass through the gates of the between worlds and take refuge in the Hall of the Bear. The threads of the halls are disrupted again, therefore the needles have lost their heavenly color. To make the needles shine again with colors, you should replace the crystals of Irkama with the crystals of Tara, and restore the threads through Zimun. The heavenly needles will shine again, and the Vaitmars will respond to the call of Bash. Faith in the success of your glorious deeds. That is what is really most important at this time. If deeds are indeed constrained by faith, what can prevent the deeds from happening? Only through labor with the open community will you cover your kin with glory. Only by uniting all forces with ancient faith will you defend your beautiful Midgard. Ancient connections will be restored again, and ancestors will respond to the calls of their descendants. Foreigners will not be able to hinder that speech, for they will be cast into hell and the underworld. But remember, people, that the enemy is vengeful and pretends not to care about the underworld, while secretly, hidden from sight, he will be plotting weapons of revenge. They do not know of heavenly honor and truth, for their hearts lack conscience. Many lands have been destroyed by foreigners. In different halls of the circle of Svarog, their black envy darkens their gaze when they see each other's abundance. Envy, deceit, and the desire for what belongs to others. This is their goal even in the hellish world. And so the foreigners try to seize everything in the underworld and the in-between worlds. Remember, people of the great race, all that has been told this beautiful evening. The main thing is that this important knowledge is not in vain and valuable for your descendants. Thus ends the circle of the first Santia of Veda Perun for the future. And the first day of communication between the great race and the descendants of the heavenly rod with the holy wise and all beautiful Perun